What? And we're live on Facebook. Hi, Facebook.
Hi. Oh my gosh. I'm just laughing at the guns.
Don't mind me.
Okay. Well, welcome to Real Women Real Estate Podcast, episode 38. Woo, woo.
Woo, woo, woo.
I'm Kimberly.
I'm Courtney.
And I'm Ebony.
And today we have a very special guest. Well, we have a special guest every episode, but this one's really special. But first, let me start with the quote of the day. Procrastination is the arrogant assumption that God owes you another chance to do tomorrow what he gave you a chance to do today, by Bishop Rosie O'Neill. Man, I really felt that one.
Stepper.
Yeah, that one's like, check yourself. Okay, and for today, our special guest is Ronda Swanigan. Ronda is a real estate investor and educator, originally from Los Angeles, California, LA. Ronda has always had a passion for working with at-risk youth. She attended Spelman College for undergrad and received her master's degree in school counseling at Clark Atlanta University. Ronda now calls Dallas, Fort Worth her home, where she also met her amazing husband, Breon. Ronda and Breon started their real estate investment journey in 2019, shortly after the death of the late, great Nipsey Hussle. He inspired them to jump into real estate and buy the block, y'all, investing to build a legacy, generational wealth, and to better their community. In their first year of investing, they were able to purchase multiple investment properties and begin sourcing their own deals. Creative financing and educating themselves on real estate were the two reasons for their growing success. Shortly after, they created Prolific Properties REI, where they purchased problem properties from motivated sellers and renovate the property to provide affordable housing for families while adding value to those neighborhoods. So welcome, Ronda.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is my favorite podcast, so I'm happy to be here.
Awesome.
Aw, thanks.
That's so sweet.
Let's just get into it then.
Okay.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing good. How are you ladies doing?
We're good.
I'm doing great. I just want to say I appreciate that question, Kim. Like, how are you doing? I heard that on a call today, that people don't just say the simple thing of, how are you doing? No, really, how are you?
Yeah.
You know, so how are you doing and how are you dealing with things in the midst of everything? Yes. So I'm going to take a sidebar and I'm going to ask that we each give a brief synopsis of how we're doing during COVID. Ronda, as our guest, please tell us, how are you really doing?
I'm just blessed to be here. Today's my son's birthday, so just watching him
Shout out
grow.
to the birthday boy.
Yeah, he's 4 and
hello, Scorpio.
Yes, he's a true Scorpio too, but he's awesome. He's our pride and joy. But no, I'm feeling blessed. I'm just happy to be here, be alive, happy for my family that they're doing all well. So right now I'm good. I'm in a good place.
That's awesome. Kim, what's going on? How are you doing?
I'm good today. So today is a good day. We're just going to take it one day at a time, but you know, this week has been a good one. What about you, Courtney?
I'm doing good. You know, I had to be reminded today to have fun, you know, like stop taking everything so seriously, you know, appreciate the things that you have and like just have some fun with it, you know. There's some days we come on and I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired. But this was fun. We started this thing on a journey of like fun and meeting people. And I'm happy that we get another opportunity to continue that, you know, each day. And so that's what I'm reminded of. That's my thing. So I'm having fun. And that's what I want to remind everybody. Just go out there and have some fun.
Eb, what about you?
No, I'm good. It's been rough. It's been a rough 2020 in general. And I'm just grateful that I have Real Women Real Estate. You guys keep me going and meeting wonderful people like Ronda, you know, who are out here doing it. It's been inspiring. It's been keeping me going. And so I look forward to every Wednesday when we record. And today is no different.
Oh,
I love it. Awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, Rhonda, so let's start off with Nipsey Hussle. You mentioned that Nipsey inspired you and your husband to jump into real estate. What were your first steps that you took to do that?
So our first step, so after his passing, it just, I actually went to elementary school with Nipsey. We know him as Ermias. And so it hit us all differently. I'm from Los Angeles, the Crenshaw district. So it just, after his death, it changed a lot of us back at home from Los Angeles, especially the Crenshaw district, because he was like, you know, we all knew him and we all looked up to him. And after he passed, we just did some reflecting as well, me and my husband. I had a few friends that are investors, but after his passing, it kind of really made us think like, what do we want our legacy to be? You know, ownership is so important. What are we going to do differently now to change that? So ownership was the move. Real estate investment was the way to go. So we knew, okay, this is what we want to do. What steps do we need to take to get there to start investing in real estate?
That's awesome. And just, you know, a note, like, sorry for your loss with the loss of Nipsey, or Amaya, says you know him. He actually passed away on my birthday. And it was such just like a watershed moment, right? Because we hear buy back the block all the time, but here's somebody who was actually doing it. He was out making change in his community, and his life was tragically taken. So happy to hear that, you know, his death wasn't in vain, and that it prompted you and your husband to take, I would say, not just action, but massive action. One of the things that inspired us just researching you and your husband's journey is that in your first year of investing, you purchased several investment properties. I think I saw the number 7 actually, which is phenomenal. So I guess what made you jump in so aggressively?
Well, I think what made us jump in so aggressively was our why. We knew our why was generational wealth. We knew our why was time. So we wanted some freedom with time to spend with our son, our family. So when we had that big why, we knew, okay, we need to jump in because we have a lot at stake here. So just having that big why and the reason why we were going into this journey, that really helped us, like just pushed us going through, jumping right in. So I would say because of our why.
And that's so key. I think we've heard that a lot in 2020 is like, life is precious. So if you're going to do something, have a good reason to do it. And so kudos to you guys for having such a strong why and jumping in so aggressively. I guess to kind of piggyback off of that, when you jumped in, are you able to do it full time, or are you and your husband still working part time? Like how much does investing take up of your day?
So we still work full time. I'm in education, so I work full time. My husband, he's in transportation, so he works full time as well. So we had to be strategic. So we had to see what we could do to outsource, to kind of get our time back, because we wouldn't have time to do real estate investing as of this point full time. So with our properties, we made sure to get a property manager. So we have a property management team. So we kind of had stuff put in place so it wouldn't take up too much of our time. So we were big on systems and procedures and outsourcing.
Come on, systems. That's Ebony's favorite thing. Systems and procedures. Lord Jesus. I'm go. And Ebony's like, systems. We need systems. You know?
Well, no, like to that end, like when you're working a full-time job, like the system is is how you're able to leverage your time. So of course I gotta ask, like, what's your system look like?
Yes. So I think what helped us, the property management team helped. We had wholesalers. We also had real estate investors. So they would like kind of give us, you know, the deals, and we would kind of go through them through the analysis. We had a strong team. We have a really good contractor. I would say we have a really good wholesaler that goes through the deals with us, analyze the deals with us. Our property management team takes care of all of our rental properties, so we don't really have to worry too much about that. I have some friends, they're like, well, you only, you don't really need a property management until you have 100 properties, but it's like, well, that's our goal, so why not start right now and start scaling? So that helps as well. In sourcing our own deals, that's been key. And we kind of started that recently. We started that actually in August. So setting up VAs, virtual assistants that pull my leads, they skip trace everything for me. They do all the cold calling, follow-ups. So that's helped tremendously as well. So we kind of have systems, we have flow charts of what everyone's doing, what me and my husband are doing. So you're in charge of calling the contractor, paying the bills for the different properties as we're transitioning to stabilize them. I'm in charge of this or that, so just being organized and structured.
Yeah, I'm big on organization, but this is really important as well for a lot of our listeners who are trying to get into investments and, trying to figure out how to do it and not necessarily be, go full time into it. So that is important to know. When you say you strategy, what is your strategy on finding your deals, and how do you analyze the numbers with that? Like, how do you decide, oh, this is the deal for me? And then, like you said, you're sourcing them yourself through the VA, but how did you get to that point? Because how did you build your system, basically?
Okay. So when we are looking at kind of like our criteria, what we look for in a deal, we kind of have a system. It's like 4 numbers. It's 1, 10, 20, 30. 1 is it has to meet our 1% rule for rent. So if we're getting it, if we're all in 150, we need to make sure the rent is at least, 1,500 or more. So we look at that 1% rule. It's really important. If it doesn't meet that, that means we're not going to really cash flow how we're going to need to. The number 10 is appreciation. So we kind of look back at the history of appreciation. If there's a property in the past 10 years, the appreciation should double as far as the value. So if that's not there, that shows that, okay, if taxes are going down, the appreciation's going down, what's going on in the area? Is it an emerging market? Are people leaving? So we kind of always look 10 years back. What is that appreciation going to be? That kind of tells us if jobs are coming in retail. Our number 20 is 20% cash on cash return. So if a property is not at least 20% in cash on cash return after we analyze our numbers, we kind of throw that away. And then our 30 is a 30% discount. So when we look at our property, we need it to be, most of our deals, of course, are off market. So we need to have at least a 30% discount for that, because we need to have that room to work with our hard money lenders to include the purchase price and rehab. So we need to have that discount as well. So those are our 4 numbers, 1, 10, 20, 30.
Oh, I like that.
That's a system.
That is.
Right? That's a system in itself. You guys don't sound like newbies. How did you know all this?
Well, when we first started, we did a lot of research. So that was the main thing, reading, podcasts. I mean, I've read so many books. My husband's read so many books, and we'll talk about it. Meeting other real estate investors where we want to be at. So joining different RIAs and investment groups. So just education, the knowledge. So every day we find some time in our day to either listen to a podcast, read, talk to some of our investor friends that are doing amazing things. So just education. So we were like, how much can we soak up? And that's really helped us scale, because just learning the creative tools, it's kind of like your tool belt with real estate. Yeah. The more tools that you can get, the more things that you can do with it and be creative and really scale and build that portfolio.
How long would you say the time that it took you to educate yourself to the time where it took you to execute? Because I think so many people get caught up in the studying, the analysis, you know what I mean? Me included, right? I can analyze some numbers on a spreadsheet for days and enjoy it. How long did it take you before you actually executed?
We kind of really were like, okay, this is what we want to do. I would say April, and then we closed on our first property that August. We closed in August.
Damn, that's quick.
But we were doing like hours and hours, like we were really committed. So not just education, but working to make sure our credit was good, our finances were good, because it was some things where, okay, we might be spending too much. So we had to analyze our budget, like how much are we spending? We're both on like kind of a strict budget, like an allowance. But we have to do that, because if we weren't good with our finances, we're not going to keep any money if we're growing our portfolio, if we're not good with financing. So I would say education, working on our credit, and really working on our finances. How much money are we able to put aside for each of our paychecks? You know, how much money is going out, the money that we're keeping invested. So pay yourself first. So that's what we're doing, paying ourselves first, then paying the bills.
That's delayed gratification right there. That's like communication with your partner, who is that's a contractual agreement right there, right, with that man, right? So it's communication, and it's delaying that gratification, and just like putting those goals out there, right? And building wealth. That's how you do it, man. Kudos to you guys for executing and not just kind of sticking in that analyzing phase. That's awesome.
Thank you.
What is Ebony's term? Analysis paralysis.
Yeah, just not being stuck there and moving. Like, that's key, right? So, you know, I'll jump into the next thing here, which is kind of your strategy on finding deals. Like, you've got a system locked in place, you've got the numbers locked in place. I'm like, hey, where are you guys finding these deals at? And what's your strategy? What's your market?
Okay. So when we first got started, because we just started sourcing our own deals a few months ago. Shout out to Q Nicole. She was actually that's how I met her, when she was on your episode, and I reached out to her, and she had a wholesale.
That's dope. That's why I wanted to do this. So that we can connect people. I love that.
Yep.
I love it.
Shout out to Q Nicole.
Yep. So shout out to her. I reached out to her right after I listened to y'all's episode, and she was doing a wholesale boot camp, and I did that. It was a few days. In less than 60 days, I sourced my own deal. I wholesaled and assigned a contract. But when we first got started, we had a realtor who was also an investor. So that was great, because he knew both aspects as far as like numbers and things like that. We have a few wholesalers. And if I see another good resource for me too, if I see like We Buy Homes, you know, I'll also like write down the number and call them. And someone will say, I actually have some deals. This is what's going on. So if you see those signs, I'm always writing numbers down, like, hey, you know, seeing if they have deals, or even putting them on my buyers list, because they're like, oh, well, do you have any deals? So anytime I see those signs, I put it down. But as far as with my VA, the areas that we're looking at is the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So Fort Worth, Dallas. I live in Grand Prairie, so we pull lists in Grand Prairie and Arlington. And I recently added Atlanta to my list. So I have some VAs calling motivated sellers in Atlanta as well.
So I'm gonna just ask this. You can share if you want to share. What is your like go-to? Are you into foreclosures? Are you into tax liens? Are you into like probate? What's your sweet spot?
Probate has been a big one. Tax liens are good to it, and I'm trying to think what else. Those are the two ones. Tax liens, probate have been kind of the biggest one as far as for lead generation.
That's awesome. And then I just wanted to commend you I think we talk a lot about collaboration over competition, and that's something that you really do have to accept in real estate, is that there's no limit, right? You are always either giving a deal or receiving a deal. And once you shift your mindset to that, then it opens it up, right? So it's not seeing those We Buy Houses and thinking like, oh, wholesaling is polluted, or there's too many wholesalers. You're looking like, bam, let me help you get a deal, you help me get a deal. Like, yeah, it's money, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
And RIA groups too. So, you know, different RIA groups, you know, like sometimes in the beginning of the meetings, they'll say, anybody have any deals? So wholesalers will pop up, I have this deal in this area. So that's been cool too. I've been able to link up with some wholesalers just going to the RIA groups.
So
I just wanted to say like abundance mindset. Like everything that she was saying, it's just like real estate is a field of abundance. There, it's plentiful. It flows. My bad, Kim.
Oh, no. I was just asking because I know that Ebony and I have been attending some before COVID, but are they back doing them again?
Virtually. So I've been doing all of them virtually, and it's been really cool because I've been signing up for other ones that were too far, but now I can go to them because they're virtual. So that's been cool too.
You better drop some gems, Rhonda. I didn't even think about that. Also, give a shout out to one of our previous guests, Portia Edmond, and they're creating the Dallas Black RIA. So,
and I connected with her too after y'all's podcast. So,
first of all, Ronda, I'm about
some people about action, right? Some people are just about action. You know what I mean? And some people just aren't, right? It's like Chris said. People that get it gonna get it. And that's just it. People that get it are gonna get it. I love that.
You don't know it, but you've just become my new best friend. And if you've listened to the previous episodes, you've heard me say that before, but you have for real just became my new best friend. Okay. I just want to throw that out there because I'm going to be reaching out to you right after.
Put a cap on.
Yeah. Just get ready. She's gonna reach out.
Get ready for that phone call, girl, because it's gonna come.
Yes, I'm big on networking. Your network is critical. You know what I mean? So I love meeting other people, connecting other people. Like, oh, you have this deal. I love bringing people together too.
Yes,
so that's real big for me.
Well, we're gonna bring it together, girl.
Yes.
Okay, so when you say creative financing, can you explain what you mean by that and how this has helped you? Again, like we have some new listeners. So creative finance, we've talked about many, many times, but what does that mean for you?
Yeah, so for me, just finding different ways to purchase without maybe using your own money or all of your money. So our first creative financing tool was leveraging our primary home. When we bought it, it was a short sale. So it already had a lot of equity in the property. And that was one of the other reasons why we bought it. Not even having that real estate investor's mindset, but we were just like, oh, it's a lot of equity in this house. It's in great condition. Let's go for it. So when we were like, let's jump into investing, just reading and talking to other investors, listening to podcasts, we were like, okay, what about leveraging our primary home? So we actually took out a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, and we used that to purchase our first investment property.
Yep, that's right on target.
HELOCs over refinancing all day.
We actually thought about doing both. We said we were going to refinance and then do the HELOC. So that was our next step with our own home actually as well. So
yes,
I think it just depends on your situation.
Yeah.
I think, it depends on your strategy. For some people, I think HELOC makes sense. For others, you can pull it out in a refinance. You know what I mean? There's more flexibility with the HELOC, but, and like kind of using that money like a bank.
Yeah.
But if you go refinance route, you just pull all that money out at once and you don't need a bank. You know what I mean?
True.
So I think it just depends on the strategy.
You can refinance and not pull the money out. So we refinance.
You can.
That's the plan, like refinance just to get that lower interest rate since they're still so low right now. And then just do the HELOC from there because then you actually now have more to work with. But
I think if you're doing that, like that Burr method, sometimes you'll pull that money out so that you can buy your next property. That's what I meant. But
And that's our key strategy is the Burr. That's what we do. So that's another creative strategy. We have an amazing hard money lender who's really helped us scale as well. They do 75% of the ARV after repair value. So if you can get a property, which ARV is just say 150, but you got it for 100, but they're going to give you 150, you can purchase that property, include all of your rehab and even closing. So that's when people are saying you can buy money, with little to no money down. That doesn't mean not to have any money or reserves because you're going to need that, in your bank account. But there are strategies and things that you can implement where you can purchase a property without even putting your own money in it in the beginning.
But can't you use like in that same situation, like couldn't you use like business credit for your reserves? Like y'all Now this is the game. Stop playing. Okay.
But you have to build your business credit, right? So
Correct.
Yes.
Which we talked about previously in our season.
Which is where I am, Rhonda, too, because I have not built my business credit. We've talked about this all season. I think we've all have talked about building our business credit. And yeah, that's part of the procrastination on my end, is that one. But I like your method as well, how you're going about it with the BRRRR. That's awesome.
Speaking of the business side of it, did you structure yourself as an LLC?
Yeah, so we have the LLC Prolific Properties REI, but how we do the BRRRR, and this was, you know, our first year, we learned a lot of things, you know, your first year, and especially when you're getting multiple properties in your first year. So we bought them in our name originally. And when we refinanced out, since it was in our name, we were able to refinance out with the regular conventional loan. So some of the loans, the loan that we closed on actually the end of this week, we were able to get a 3.6 interest rate. So to get that for an investment property, that's really low. And then if you wait 30 days, I'm able to deed that out into an LLC. And my the conventional loan, they won't do a due on sales clause because you control the LLC. So I double check that. So always, if you're thinking of deeding it over to an LLC, always ask, is that okay? Because some banks, they'll say, no, if you deed it over to an LLC after it's in your name, we're going to do due on sales. But I asked our, it's like a small bank. I asked them first and they said, no, it's okay.
They're investor friendly. That's what's up.
Yeah, good for dropping those tips. That's good to know. Yeah.
I'll have you back.
So, let's see. Oh, could you restructure a deal for us?
Okay. I'll do one of my most recent deals. It was from a wholesaler, and it was, do you need to know like the numbers too? Like just like what I got it for?
Sure, everything.
Okay.
We're gonna restructure it. We're gonna look at numbers and just re-engineer that thing.
Okay. So and so I found a wholesale deal. And actually I got two from him. He was like, I have this deal, so I was going to lock that up. And he was like, my mom is wanting to sell this home too. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah, it was in Arlington. And so when me and my husband looked at it, we were like, yeah, we'll take that too. So we got both properties from him, but I'm going to go over the deal in Arlington. Amazing deal. When we viewed the property first, it wasn't a lot of rehab that needs to be done. When we look at properties, we don't like to do the big gut jobs. I know some people like that, but we kind of like to do the cosmetic, no more than, we kind of like to stay between 20, 25,000 at the most. So when we viewed it, we were like, okay, we know this is good. We used hard money lending. The ARV was at 200 and we got it below close, almost at 119. So you see the big spread there. So we were able to actually pick that up without using any of our own money and refinance that property out. The rehab was about 20,000, but that was built in with our hard money lender. So we were able to take draws on that, and the draws covered, all of the rehab cost. So it's always important. You make your money when you buy up front, not when you sell. You make your money when you buy, not when you sell. So we made our money when we bought that because we got it for, such a discounted price. So when you buy that discounted price, money will come as far as finding a hard money lender. A lot of times when you find a hard money lender and they say, no, we're not going to support this deal, it's probably not a good deal and you probably shouldn't move on it. But my hard money lender was like, yeah, that's a go. So that's how we did that. And we have tenants in. We have a beautiful family that moved in a few weeks ago. They're loving it. So that's that deal.
Tell us about the other one since you got two. What'd you do with the other house?
Oh, the other house, yeah.
I just want to back up real quick. How did you actually find it?
Which one? The one that I'm just
the one that you just talked about that was in 120.
Well, I found it from the wholesaler. I got a property from him in Grand Prairie, and he was like, "Oh, well, my mom, is a real estate agent, and she has this property from a family member. Do you think you'll be interested in this one as well? Because we're trying to get rid of it." And I was like, "Yeah, where is it?" And he was like, "Arlington. You want to go see it?" And I was like, me and my husband were like, "Yeah." And once we saw that and did the numbers and worked out the numbers, they both worked out. So we kind of closed those two homes back to back.
First of all, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Like, I know it's been times Kim and I have been out in the field, and like, if somebody's interested in one property, like, shoot, we got these other ones under contract too. Like, it's a constant trying to get that going. I guess another question would be just what would you advise people? This is kind of off script, but like, how would you advise to work with wholesalers, like in that space? Like, what advice would you give to somebody who maybe doesn't come from the wholesale arena? They're not used to like working those deals. Like, what advice do you give to make sure you're finding those types of deals?
For those, I would say just kind of know your numbers and always practice like analyzing deals too. We always, we look at property. We use the calculator on Bigger Pockets. So that really helps us too. We put all of our info in, all of our numbers, and it's really close to being accurate of what it comes out to be. So we have our criteria. So kind of know your criteria, know your numbers, know your spread, have equity, depending on what kind of strategy. If you're going to do the BRRRR strategy, you have to get that discounted property. So I would say to any new person starting off, you have to be educated. You can't jump in and not really know how to analyze a deal with cash on cash return, your ROI, you know what I mean? Just the different terms like that, and just of what analyzing a deal consists of. So really be educated. You should be able to look at a deal, run your numbers, and know, hey, I'll be cash flowing $500 a month with this much into the deal, so just really be knowledgeable and educating yourself on how to analyze a deal and what makes a good deal.
I think that's key, right? Because a lot of people get in, and it is one of those things where you need to do your research. You can't just jump in here and just be like, oh, I'm not gonna be analysis paralysis. I'm just gonna jump in head first. No, you really do need to do your research. This is real money, and you can. There's a lot of pitfalls, right? Mm-hmm. So tell me something. You're mentioning BRRRR strategy. Is that your only strategy, or are you guys doing buy and holds as well?
Yeah, for the BRRRRs, we do. Because for the BRRRRs, those are our rentals. So we, we refinance. We put tenants in there. We refinance out. So we have those.
So you're using those as your BRRRRs. You're not like flipping. When you say
we've actually.
That's what I was thinking. When you said $25,000 is the most I want to put into the property. You're not talking flips. You're talking straight buy and holds.
Yes, but we've actually have done some flips where we didn't put that much money in there, and we still got amazing returns because we got a good deal. So your deal will set everything off. So, and always have different exit strategies, because we were coming into it where every property has to be a BRRRR. We want to keep all of these rentals. We don't want to flip any. We want to keep the money, generational wealth, long-term wealth. But we had our first accidental flip that we did, we really got it at a good deal, but the rents weren't supportive. So we thought, okay, we're going to get this for rent. But when we put it out, it was the biggest house on the block, but you got to look at the average rents in the area. So if the rents are only this much and you're trying to charge this much, that's not going to work. And we weren't going to be able to positive cash flow, but we had so much equity and the market was hot in that area. We were like, let's just put it on the market and flip it. And it worked out where we were able to flip it and put that money into better producing cash flowing properties that we can hold. So
was that recently?
We've done two we did one recently and then one in the beginning. So we have 5 rentals and we had 2 that we ended up flipping.
I say that because inventory is so low right now. So it's just kind of like, I see a lot of people, and we talked about this, I think last week with Deetra, right? Just because there's such low inventory, it makes more sense now with this whole COVID thing to start kind of switching your strategy to flips, because they're just going to move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just, I wish it was like that in a more affordable market like Cali, you know what I mean? And and you could do that. So
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
term. I think we just coined a new one, an accidental flip, because we just are currently, well, we've had two, but this is now our second accidental flip. I got a house that I thought we were going to own or finance, but then we just got an offer and we just going to sell it. So we just bought a house to own or finance. And then it was like, oh, but we got this great offer cash, you know, so it's like, oh, well, shit, we're going to take it. You know, so, and then first, Ebony, it was funny because Ebony, that's like, I think you should take, that sounds good. Everyone's like, Taman, he was a previous guest too. He helped us with it, but he was like, I think you should consider this. And me being one track, not being, my mindset wasn't quite open. I was like, no, we bought this to own or finance. And everybody was like,
I was like, girl, you better take that money. Like, like considering how long it took us to do our last flip, like, and all of the crazy things we had to deal with, like, you just came up. Like
nothing. I didn't do anything. When it was Navy Federal, we only put 5% down, and I'm like, oh, okay, you're right.
I love Navy Federal. I love them too.
Yeah. So, but it's just the accidental flip, like you say, it's pretty. It's like, oh, okay, well, this was definitely an accidental flip.
It was accidental, but it worked out for us where we were able to, you know, get some other things. So that worked out. And we made sure before we purchase any of our properties, we need to have at least 3 different exit strategies. So if it doesn't work as a rental, can we sell it? If we can't sell it, can we lease option it? You know, so going in, we have the exit, like the end in mind. So that's important too.
I think that's really key. And I was going to touch back on that before you even said it. So I'm glad you did say it. Like, I know when I first started out as a wholesaler, like there were times I didn't know about like subject to, I didn't know about like all these things you could do. So there were a couple of properties that I lost. And like, I'm just like, kicking myself nowadays because I didn't really, I didn't understand the importance of having multiple exit strategies. And it was just like, oh, if we can't find somebody to take this contract, like, sorry, but definitely lesson learned. And kudos to you for learning it up front, learning it before you lost too much. I guess the last question was just like, you know, what's next for you and your husband, like for Prolific Properties? What do you guys foresee in the next, 5 to 10 years?
Just really making it Prolific Properties REI as a business. Cause I think starting off, in our first year, which was great, we had a first good year, but we weren't really running it as a business per se, so really structuring, Prolific Properties where we can have everything put into place as far as our team. So we can, we want to work on the business, not in the business. So setting things and outsourcing and putting our systems and procedures in place. So we have a pipeline as far as generating leads to, our renovating team, to also our property management team to put families into the properties. But I think what's helped us and which has been just such a great journey is just the sourcing part and helping people. Because there's people that are dealing with problem properties where they don't think that they have any other, option. So really building the relationships and having that empathy. I think that's the counseling background in me, but I love just like meeting people and not just, oh, I want to buy your house, but how can I help you? What's your need? What do you need? You know what I mean? And how can I help? So and my husband's the same way. So helping those that are having those problem properties and then making our homes affordable. So we can put those families in there and have a nice renovated, beautiful home that is affordable. So just really growing that, timesing that by 10, and just also eventually like teaching, because I have a lot of friends I'll say, well, man, I see you doing it. How can I do it? So I love to like share, whatever I can share. It doesn't make sense for you to know all these things and keep it to yourself. Like help your community, help your friends, help your family, tell them about, the different creative strategies, tell them about, okay, let's work on your credit first, work on your finances, and this is how you do ownership. So that's where we see ourselves, just growing it bigger and then just sharing the knowledge with others to let them know if we can do it. I work in education, my husband's in transportation, you can do it too. just be dedicated, motivated, and just have a big why, which was ours is financial freedom and generational wealth and having goals, so I hope I answered it okay, but yeah.
No, that's dope.
Yeah, that's a mic drop.
Yeah, that's solid.
I wrote down the quote too out of that. I got my quote out of that, y'all. But so one last question to piggyback off of that, which would be kind of my favorite question about asking about, what you plan to do. But as far as what do you plan to continue just doing the BRRRR, or are there other avenues that you like to incorporate outside of just the education? But as far as your actual, like, do you want to go, duplexes and stuff like that? Are we just staying with just the BRRRR?
No, I'm open to other things as well. I'm just thinking of right now, the BRRRR has just kind of helped us, but we want to incorporate other things, other creative financing and flipping, that's always good too, because that can help with your reserve, that can help you with other different things as well. So we're open. And as we're educating ourselves and having friends that are doing amazing things and talking to them, it's going to change and expand. So, but the BRRRR has really helped us as of now, but that might change later.
Listen, if it ain't broke.
Yeah.
So where can our listeners find you? Where can our listeners reach out to you? Like, you've reached out to our listeners and you've made some connections. I'm sure there's somebody that wants to make some connections with you as well. Where can they find you?
Yes. So we are on Instagram and it's Prolific Properties REI. And we also have a website, prolificpropertiesrei.com. So www.prolificpropertiesrei.com. For that website, that's for anyone who knows, or they could be or knows anyone else that is interested in selling or getting rid of their property. It could be a problem property. We purchase all types of property in any condition. So that website there, it gives them information on that whole process. If they're having a property that they don't want to put on the market and wanting to work with us, we take that relationship building seriously. So I nurture my leads, I nurture the sellers, so that's big for us too. And I think that's what helped us become so successful with sourcing our own deals. We close on 2 properties next month. And I think building those relationships help, because they call back and was like, well, I'm going to sell it to you because I built a relationship with you. You actually care. You're not calling saying, can I get your property for this, that? Okay, bye. She was like, you actually asked me, how am I doing? How is my day? So I think that has been like my secret key too. And that's just me. That's just how I am. But just being, just being genuine and letting them know that you're there to help them solve their problem.
There's a difference between people that are chasing money, even realtors that are chasing commission. There's a difference between them and people that are actually trying to help people and actually get a joy from helping people. I mean, it's a totally different business. You know what I mean? So I absolutely love that. And I appreciate you saying that. And I want to say thank you. And I appreciate you for coming on to the show. This has been impactful. I love it. And I love having a newbie investor because it just inspires me for sure to get off there. And so before we let you go, we just wanted to ask you just a few questions and just see, how quick you are on your feet. Right.
Listen, she's a listener, so make sure switch it up on her.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what she can do. We'll see what time it is. Right. So it's the holidays, coming up, right? So we just want to know, right, from a sides perspective, that this is a big deal in our culture and our community, right? Our sides, right? So I want to know which one got to go. You got mac and cheese, you got sweet potato, you got collard greens, and you got cornbread dressing. Which one got to go? If one got to go, which one is it?
Can you cornbread dressing?
Potato, mac and cheese. What'd you say?
Cornbread dressing.
Oh my goodness. The cornbread dressing with the cranberry sauce on it. You gonna take that one out?
Me too.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Who hurt y'all?
I know.
I
Who's
without the
cooking for you
cranberries.
guys?
I do without the cranberries.
Really? It's a home, the tartness with a little bit of sweet.
One has to go, and that one had
That would be the one.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Oh,
should
no,
not
I
have
mean,
Thanksgiving with no dressing.
I think it'd be mac and cheese for me.
What?
Mac and cheese. Yeah, no,
Yeah, it'd be mac and cheese for me.
I gotta have that one.
If I'm gonna
that's
pick a
number
card,
one.
it's gonna be cornbread dressing. If I'm gonna go with a card, yeah, that's
I'm
gonna
with
be
you for it.
No,
That's interesting.
mac and cheese. Mm-mm.
Yeah, no, I done had some good mac and cheese, but that one's gotta go. All right, and so the next one is we have a new versus coming up, right? And it is T.I. versus Jeezy. Who you got?
T.I.
All right, I can roll with that.
Over Thug Motivation?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of,
They're
T.I.
both good choices.
T.I., that was like the soundtrack of like my Spelman, all my years at
Paper
Spelman.
Trail.
Yep.
Yeah, Paper Trail was pretty lit. I gotta give him that. Okay, I can go with that one. All right, so just overall positivity, because I've had a mix up. It's either two answers on this podcast, and it's either trap or gospel. Which one you got?
Trap.
Oh, it's a different kind of person that's gonna choose the trap over the gospel. I like it. I like that honesty. I like that. It hit a little different. That hit a little trap. No hesitation. I like it. All right, last one. So you said you've learned a lot, right, over this course of this whole journey, but tell us which platform or what book or what person, what taught you the most?
The book, it was The Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller. That is like the playbook. Me and my husband, we had it on audio and we have the hard copy. And after each chapter, we would kind of analyze and talk about it. But it's like from start to finish, it's just gems everywhere. And I have notebooks that I write everything down. So I'm going to pass those on to my son, because everything from when I started the journey, from just everything that I learned, we have it all written down in notebooks. But the Millionaire Real Estate Investor and Bigger Pockets has helped a lot too. Just their platform and a lot of the different tools and books. So I've read the Bird book. I've read a lot of their books. So just the Bigger Pockets helped.
A lot. That's dope. Shout out to Real Women Real Estate. And
of course, I was just in the beginning when I first started off, but after, when you guys started, I mean, this is one of my favorite podcasts, so I listed
it. That's the second one. No, I appreciate that, but you're the second person to tell us about this Keller book. So I'm gonna have to check that one out. You know what I mean? I'm gonna check that one out seriously. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Ronda, this has been awesome. This has been a great episode. We've had fun. I've had fun, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you guys for having. I've listened to every episode. So when I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be on Real Women Real Estate, I was just like, I was so excited. I was like, me? I'm a beginner, but thank you guys for having me.
A beginner with how many doors?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Popping. No, I like it. I appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Shout out to your husband. I know he couldn't join, but shout out to your husband taking care of your son, and happy birthday to him.
Thank you. Right. My husband, that's my partner in crime. We are on the same page, because sometimes that's hard with real estate, but we do everything together when it comes to real estate investing. So he's my best friend, and he's been awesome through this journey too.
That's sweet. That's awesome.
Come on, Black Love.
I know, right? That's the next show. That's edition number 2.
I love to see it.
Exactly. We have to do a Real Women Real Estate Black Love. I like it. Thank you, Ronda. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.